I want also to pay a huge thanks and tribute to Harriet Harman, who has been our acting leader and our deputy leader, and before that, our acting leader. I've known Harriet for a very long time, and what I would say of her is her absolute commitment and passion for decency, equality, and the rights of women in our society is something that we will honour her for, thank her for, and we have legislation that's been brought about by her determination. Harriet, thank you so much for all you've done. And the way in which you've led the party since the tragedy of the election result in May. I want also to thank and congratulate Tom Watson on his election as Deputy Leader of the party. Tom is passionate about communication, passionate about holding the state and unaccountable people who don't wish to be accountable to account. Tom's your man to do that. I want also to thank Ed Miliband for all the work he did as leader of our party. I had a very long conversation with Ed a couple of days ago, and I thanked him for his work as leader of the party. I thanked him for his work as Environment Secretary and somebody who's passionate about defending the world's environment against the way it's being destroyed at the present time. But I also thanked him for the way in which he stood up to the abuse that he received by much of our media. And the dignity he showed when his late father, the great Ralph Miliband, was so brutally abused by some of our media. So, Ed, thank you for all of that. I want to thank the fellow leadership candidates. We're discussing the number, whether it's 29, 35 or 39 hustings we've been to together since this election started. We'll discuss that later and exchange diaries. But it's been a fascinating experience for all of us. And I want to thank them for the way the debates were conducted, the way that we were able to put forward political debate and political differences and still come out at the end of it with a group hug. We're going to reform ourselves as an ABBA tribute band and continue this work in the future. Andy Burnham was our Health Secretary, and Andy's passion and determination for a national health service as a human right, free at the point of use, is something that comes over every time Andy speaks. And his passion for comprehensive education to ensure all children have a reasonable, fair and decent start in life. I want to say thank you to Yvette Cooper for all the work she's done in government and in the party, but in particular, over the past few weeks, helping to shape and turn round public opinion to show sympathy and humanity towards refugees and the way they're treated. And one of my first acts as the leader of the party will be to go to the demonstration this afternoon to show support for the way refugees must be treated and should be treated in this country. I want to thank Liz Kendall for her friendship during this campaign, for the way we've managed to have some moderately different opinions on a number of issues. But we've managed to maintain a very good friendship. And Liz is somebody that I admire because she absolutely stands up for what she believes in, whether it's easy, simple or popular, or uneasy, not simple or popular. So Liz, thank you very much.
Only Labour can speak for the real Britain. We haven't always, but that's what we have to do again. We can and we will, I promise. And to those who feel alarmed by the scale of difference between the old world and the new, I say this. There is only one Labour. One Labour. And it's bigger than leaders or deputy leaders, bigger even than its members and supporters. And on behalf of the millions who need us, we are the guardians of decency and fairness, justice and equality in the United Kingdom, and we're going to continue to do that. At our best, we articulate and embody the common sense compassion of the British people. The no-nonsense belief that things ought to be fair. If you put in when you can, you should get out when you need. Well, we've had a Tory government for too long. But this has never been a Conservative country. British people believe in hard work and a fair crack. Above all, a fair crack. That's not the Tory way. They don't play fair. They believe in the primacy of the market. But their markets are arbitrary and unforgiving, whereas we believe in the wealth it can create, but not in the unfairness that comes if it's not mediated. Yet anybody who thinks there's a contradiction between pro-business and pro-worker doesn't understand either. That's why I believe. That's why I believe we are the true party of Britain. Yet we just lost another election. So we need to think again about what we offer and how we communicate it. I said I'd overhaul our party organisation, putting members and councillors at the centre of everything we do, and I'd lead a revolution in our digital campaigning and organisation. That work starts this afternoon. But I have to say, the Labour Party is at a critical moment. And great movements like ours endure by understanding and embracing moments of such change. We can't afford to duck the truth. I did 109 constituency visits in the general election campaign, and I've done 113 party meetings during this leadership election. So in the last 6 months, I've talked to a lot of people. I've talked to every kind of person there is. And I have a very clear sense that this election has been as much a referendum on the political culture of the Labour Party as it has been about the candidates' policies. And it's been an indictment of politics as a whole. People are sick of all politics. And even our own people are sick of the old ways of doing politics. That's the biggest challenge we've ever faced as a party. But if we face it together, embrace it together, we can turn it to our unstoppable advantage. Let those Tories and the pundits think we're weak, while we unleash the implacable power of hope. And to all those Tories sniggering up their sleeves that we won't win in 2020, I say simply this. Watch this space. Watch your backs. We'll be watching you, and we will win in 2020. And to all my comrades in arms in this hall and throughout the UK, I say, come with us. Join with us. We're going to weave ourselves back into communities in every inlet and avenue of Britain. There should be nowhere in these islands that's not Labour. We stand for common sense decency of the great British people. Nothing is stronger than that. And if we take that out into the streets together, we will win. Thank you.
During this amazing 3 months, our party has changed. We've grown enormously. We've grown enormously because of the hopes of so many ordinary people for a different Britain, a better Britain, a more equal Britain, a more decent Britain. They're fed up with the inequality, the injustice, the unnecessary poverty. All those issues have brought people in a spirit of hope and optimism. So I say to the new members of the party, or those that have joined in as registered supporters or affiliated supporters, welcome. Welcome to our party. Welcome to our movement. And I say to those returning to the party who were in it before and felt disillusioned and went away, welcome back. Welcome back to your party. Welcome home. And there's the media, and maybe many of us simply didn't understand the views of many young people within our society. They had been written off as a non-political generation who were simply not interested, hence the relatively low turnout and low level of registration of young people in the last general election. They weren't. They're a very political generation that were turned off by the way in which politics was being conducted and not attracted or not interested in it. We have to and must change that. So the fight back now of our party gathers speed and gathers pace.
As with the results of the deputy leadership election, I will now be announcing the votes for each candidate by round. If no candidate obtains more than 50% of the valid votes cast in any round, the candidate with the least votes will be eliminated from the ballot and those votes allocated according to the next available preference. We will also show the number of votes cast by each candidate by each category of elector. The full details of the results will be available on the Labour Party website following this event. The result of the election of the leader of the Labour Party is as follows. Number of eligible voters, 554,272. The number of eligible voters cast in a vote in this contest, 422,664. The number of spoilt votes, 207. So the votes cast in round one are Andy Burnham, 80,462. This represents 19% of the votes in this round. Yvette Cooper, 71,928. Which represents 17% of the votes in this round. Jeremy Corbyn, 251,000.
The Tories have used the economic crisis of 2008 to impose a terrible burden on the poorest people in this country. Those that have seen their wages frozen or cut, those that can't afford to even sustain themselves properly, those that rely on food banks to get by. It's not right, it's not necessary, and it's got to change. We need an economic strategy that improves people's lives, that expands our economy, that reaches out to care for everybody. You can't do that if at the same time you do nothing about grotesque levels of inequality within our society. We need to develop an economic policy that deals with those issues. And so our party is about justice, is about democracy. It is about the great traditions we walk on. Those that founded our party and our movement, those that stood up for human rights and justice, the right for women to vote, the right for others to vote. We stand here today because of their work. But we go forward now as a movement and a party, bigger than we've ever been for a very, very long time, stronger than we've ever been for a very long time, more determined than we've been for a very long time, to show to everyone that the objectives of our party are intact. Our passion is intact. Our demand for humanity is intact. And we as a party are going to reach out to everyone in this country to take us on that journey together, so no one is left on the side. Everyone has a decent chance in life and a decent place within our society. That's what Labour was brought about to achieve. That is what we're going to achieve. This election campaign is, as we see here, about shaping our future. Our party is going to, I hope, become more inclusive, more involved, more democratic, and we're going to shape the future of everyone in this country in a way that I think will be remembered as something that is good for everyone, that brings about the justice that we all crave, and that is what brought us into this wonderful party and this wonderful movement ourselves. I say thank you to everyone for all their support, friendship and comradeship during this election process. And I say thank you in advance to us all working together to achieve great victories, not just electorally for Labour, but emotionally for the whole of our society, to show we don't have to be unequal. It doesn't have to be unfair. Poverty isn't inevitable. Things can, and they will, change. Thank you very much.
The following report contains flash photography.
Jeremy Corbyn totally obliterated his rivals mathematically to win more than 50% when you've got 4 candidates in the first round is incredible, but he got nearly 60%. And what is politically important, he won in every section. Jeremy Corbyn has a massive mandate. He won nearly 49% in the first round of ordinary party members. He won 57% of union members. But here's the really striking figure. Of those £3 supporters, those people who are not party members, but who just paid £3 who could vote, nearly 85% of them backed Jeremy Corbyn. They were a landslide for Jeremy Corbyn, and that is what we have learnt about this contest. Jeremy Corbyn managed to reach out and galvanise people who were left-leaning but had lost faith in Labour. They were tired of Labour as austerity light, as just a pale imitation of the Tories. They wanted something different and much more radical, and Jeremy Corbyn hoovered up their votes. Now, one thing follows from this. Those who think they can get rid of Jeremy Corbyn anytime soon are going to have to think again, because Mr Corbyn did not just win this on the back of the £3 supporters, he won it across the board. He has a rock-solid mandate, an unbelievable mandate. So for those, and I've spoken to people who say he will be gone by next summer, they now have to tread very, very carefully indeed. Also, Jane, other very significant thing in his speech, Jeremy Corbyn saying, I want this to be an inclusive party. I want us to reach out, praising Andy Burnham for his passion for the NHS, Yvette Cooper for her stance on refugees, and Liz Kendall, the most Blairite of the candidates, saying, I admire her courage for standing up to her views. Now, that suggests Jeremy Corbyn knows he cannot govern as a hard left Labour leader. He has to reach out, and the signal from what he said today is he is going to try and bring the different wings of the party in together. But an astonishing result. He has a mandate. Those who thought he would be gone anytime soon, think again.